Hello YouTube, welcome to Fanatic Studio, and this is Lift My Mind program. For today's topic, we're going to talk about giftedness. I don't know how many of you guys have encountered gifted people in your life, or maybe you are a gifted person yourself, or maybe your child is a gifted person, but you're not very sure, because sometimes diagnosis of giftedness can go borderline with ADHD and other psychotic diseases. But I will be talking about that specific topic in another video. As for now, let's go to the building blocks of giftedness. So I went around Google and I found a set of traits that gifted people kind of have in common. So let's get right down to it. So number one is the rapid learners. Yes, they are. How can I say about that? It's because of their keen observation and their insatiable curiosity to understand how the world works, how we work as humans, how their mother and their father function, etc. They have this very open reception to a lot of inputs. So they're very, very curious. And when a child is more curious than the norm, you can detect that by the word "why, mommy?" So when the kids look like, why did you do that, why did we go here, why is it like that, what is this, what is that, when the kid starts to demonstrate a lot of question of why, it means that this kid is a fast receptive person with keen observation that shows a sophisticated thought process, because they understood that there's some missing element, that they didn't understand why that thing actually is there. So I have actually right now just blended 3 traits in one. I hope you can go with me with this. According to age, they kind of have a large vocabulary. So because they are very curious and they want to understand the world, one way to understand the world is by having labels to things that you see. Have labels to emotions, to processes, to objects that you see in the world. So they are prone to look for these words. What is this? What do they call this? What do they call that? How is that called? How is this feeling called? Blah blah blah, something like this. So for a young age, you go like, this kid speaks in a very expansive vocabulary, which means that they are actually thinking and trying to explain and describe more accurately, which is something of a need actually. So let's go another one. Unusual reasoning power for a young kid or for a young adult. Unusual in the sense that they connect unrelated things and find profound correlations, and even start to innovate with the thought process. So it's not like blindly following a certain process and just doing it. They go like, hey, why should I do A, B, and C if I actually can just blend A, B into together and then CD together, and then I just will have two things at the same time. So they are the ones who go around with shortcuts, but not cheating shortcuts. Please have that in mind. They are not seeking to cheat, but they're rather looking for shortcuts that will make their task more efficient. So if you are a math teacher and you happen to have a gifted child in your classroom, you will realize that in his equations, he will start to put like a Lego structure. He was going to convert certain equations together, and then have this almost looks like a leap from one thought to the other, but the truth is that he already found the shortcut. He does not need to do A, B, C, D. He just went from A to D because he already shrank the others. So you will know those type. Those are definitely gifted. They have strong memory. Strong memory, it can also go all the way to smell, sight, sensor memory as well. Sensor motor memory, yes. So when we say memory, it's not only just component that they kind of call in their mind, but they will feel it, they will see it, they will smell exactly how it smelled at the same time. So when they have a memory, like, you see, you were wearing like this, you smelled like that, your eyes roll this way, and you've said this, la la la, and it's so detail oriented, you'll be freaked out. So that's strong memory. And that also applies to academics or to other professional sites. So you can rely on them, like, do you remember what happened in that meeting? Like, yes, da na 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 na. Especially if they were focused with you. If they weren't with you mentally, don't expect any memory, obviously, because they didn't even input it in their head. So let's go for young children. They need little outside control, so they're almost by default self-disciplined. This is an interesting one, because no matter how naughty their brain is, when I say naughty, in a sense, curious, too curious. I want to experiment this, I want to learn this, I want to play with this, I want to understand this, and it's a lot of hyperactivity, which sometimes is diagnosed as ADHD. Let's talk about that later. But for now, self-discipline is that you are not parenting them that much, because they speak to you almost like a young adult. You will sense it, because when you have a conversation with them, they are picking it up, and they actually sometimes correct you when you have a logical inconsistency. So they are self-disciplined because they see you struggling or very hard worker. You don't have time to tell them don't do this, don't do that. So they learn by model, and they exemplify good behavior, because they don't want you to be overworking everywhere or exhausted. So you can tell that this kid is gifted, because they understand your situation at a younger age. And let's go for another one, which is very, very important, is high level of intensity. This one needs a whole video on its own, and I think I will dedicate that for it next time. High level intensity, these people are just too passionate, and if they don't seem to be passionate, they are passionate silently. Okay, for example, for the gifted ones who have a focus, gifted only on let me reword that, mono-gifted. There are mono-gifted people and there are multi-gifted people. So for the mono-gifted people, for example, the ones who are only catering math, they're only gifted in math, and that's it, they're not very good at the other subjects, for example, they will be what do you call this, not consistent. They will be calm in all subjects except math. When they're in the math class, they're everywhere. They want to answer all equations, they're so happy, they're jumping, especially for young kids, etc. And for young adults, they don't care about other courses except math. They will be there, they will be very consistent, they want to be lab assistants, they want to be teaching assistants, whatever that is. Wherever their passion is, wherever their fascination is, their focus is off the roof, okay? Which brings us to hyper focus, which is very coherent, synonymous with giftedness. Gifted people have far higher focus range than the average. Why? Because of that intensity in a certain area or certain areas. Depends on the person as well, if they're multi-gifted or mono-gifted. So when they're hyper focused, they just simply shut down the outside world. There are no pop-ups in their minds. There's just that. That thing should be done, that thing should be understood, that thing should be perceived well. So all their focus of their mind is in that direction, and it's almost inhumane sometimes, their focus. Where do you find this type of people? Go to college and you'll find them in the library or in the labs. They did not leave. They didn't shower for some time. They did not eat, or they just eat on the side, like just feeding body, like very, very subconscious. These people, you should question. If you find other traits as well, you should question if they are gifted, because that is a lot of intensity for an average person, which means that their mind is really in a high self-control. And again, self-control is also connected to how giftedness work. So in addition to that, I would like to put something here. these traits should be combined together. It's not only one trait that will make you gifted. There have to be a combination of the sort, and you will lie somewhere in the spectrum. So one of the elements in the combo is depth of perception. What does that mean? They see authenticity in people, they see fairness, they portray justice, and if they are not neurotic, which means they weren't hurt when they were kids and they were given a healthy emotional model,